Here's a commercial 10A that I recently picked up this weekend. It's got the 40-inch commercial 2-blade deck on it and dual wheels with spacers. Tires are in pretty good condition, they're still holding air, and I actually have a fair amount of tread left on them also. The rims on this side are a little banged up, but the spacers and everything are all there. So I have an extra set of them. And at one point someone must have dropped something on this or rolled it over. As you can see, the hood's really mashed up, and along with that, unfortunately, the battery box has been all crushed also. And you can see it's all torn apart. So I'll have to straighten that out and I can weld that back up. That's not a problem. And unfortunately, of all things, the gas tank got smashed in. And as you can see, if you can see it, it looks brand new inside and there's no rust whatsoever. Figures it was a good one too. So I have another one on the rack over there of parts, so I could throw that on there if I ever decide to get this running again. Had the electric start on it, which I've since pulled off and got running, and it works pretty good, spins over real nice and everything. So I have an extra starter for mine, my commercial 12. It also has the breakerless ignition system, and the coil on it has been cracked, so it must have had some water in there at some point. And the bottom of the shroud has since rotted off, unfortunately, so I might end up putting a piece of metal down around the bottom of it. I can always fix that, or buying another one offline because I don't have any good Kohler shrouds left. And someone also rigged up a hitch on the back for something at one point. I don't know what it was for, but that'll be coming off there at some point also. But I don't know how much it was really used. It's got a lot of the green mildew on it and some really thick grease stuff, so it's probably been sitting for the last 10 or so years. But it's got good paint, you know, where it usually would wear off on the front of the engine shroud and everything. So, you know, I'm guessing it probably had this mower deck on it for the most of its life, because all the grease buildup, you know, there's no separation. But it was bought, what little is left of the stickers. It was Something Equipment Co., Worcester Turnpike, and right there it said Route 9. So it's been in the area for the most part, central Massachusetts, and it hasn't gone too far. And as for the deck, it's not in the greatest of all shape. It's pretty well rotted, it's got a lot of holes in it, and it probably had a bunch of grass and stuff sitting on it at one point for quite some time with water and all that. Didn't help too much. So I might redo the deck at some point. You know, it's easy enough to cut this out, and I can bend up some more pieces of metal and weld them in there. I have pulled the belt covers off, which luckily they were on here, and it's pretty rusted. It's going to need new idlers, new belts. The drive pulley on the 106 drive is going to have to be cleaned up underneath. It's very rusty under there with the moisture and water. The back of the deck is all bent up, it's all worn out, so I can always cut a piece for the back, a wide piece, and then roll it, and I can tack it on and kind of bend it around as I tack it. And the top half is actually not too bad a shape, except for right up in the edge right here, which isn't too bad. So it's probably going to be a project for later on in the year, maybe next year or something if I have some time. I can always tackle that. And the serial number on it, if anybody has one close, it is a 1971 commercial 10A. I also didn't have a muffler in it, but I was able to run the tap through it and we got threads. I just packed it in with grease so it doesn't leak, doesn't rust up anymore, and maybe I can get a muffler in there at some point. The air cleaner's been smashed. The backing plate for the air cleaner is actually not bad, even though I can't see it. I haven't pulled the carburetor apart yet, or the fuel pump, so we have to yet to see what's like that, or what those are like. And the kickstand's actually nice and straight. Sits true on there, and it actually goes up to where it's supposed to be. So it's got a nice kickstand, a nice rear hitch on it. And those are your engine numbers right there. It's a, I think it's a K241 10 horse Kohler. So at some point I was thinking about maybe a winter project, little by little, you know, come up and do the carburetor on it one day and the shroud on it another day as I get time. And maybe by next spring I'll have another good running commercial tractor, which would be kind of nice, just one for brush hogging or one I can keep the 40-inch deck on. But if not, it might just be going to parts. But you can see it's pretty well bent that the right hand handlebar has been pushed down, which a little bit of heat will take care of that right in here. So it's not too bad. I forgot if I mentioned it, but I picked it up for $150. So I figured I got my money's worth out of it, even in parts with dual wheels and spacers and engine components and stuff like that. So it's not too bad. And also, this is number 17 of the Gravely collection. So there you have it, Commercial 10 that I picked up this past weekend.